Greetings from Polaris Advisors. My name is Devin Dominic Johnson. I'm here today with Corey Bayshore and Justin Dunwoody to talk about different contributions that participants can make to retirement plans. So let's get to it. Justin, when it comes to deferring contributions to retirement plan, there are different options like Roth versus traditional. Would you be able to explain these two options?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Devin. So, basically the quick version is the Roth is after-tax contribution. When you get to retirement, it grows tax deferred. You get to retirement and it's tax-free withdrawals. The pre-tax or the traditional 401k is a pre-tax, as the name states, a pre-tax deduction. So you do save a couple dollars in taxes now. It grows tax deferred in retirement when you make withdrawals. Those withdrawals are all taxable. So on your screen, you can actually see a sample of we have a little mock pay stub that we put together. It's somebody that it's dollars an hour, somebody that makes around $30,000 a year. And you'll see all the deductions that typically come off of your pay stub. The first highlighted one you see is the pre-tax deduction. That's a 5% deferral into the 401k. And you actually see on the far right-hand side the gross pay and then the total taxes and deductions at 141 and the net pay at 338. Down below is just the opposite. That is a Roth 401k deduction. Same 5%, same $24 going in, but you'll actually see the total taxes and deductions are a little bit higher. That's because they are not saving any tax dollars currently. Whereas in the pre-tax, they're actually, because it's going in pre-tax, they're saving a couple dollars in taxes. So the net pay on the Roth side is slightly lower. The main difference when you get to retirement, though, is that on the bottom, even though it's net pay is a little bit less, all the dollars you save are tax-free in retirement. So that's really the main differences between the two.
Great, thanks, Justin. So Corey, maybe you can provide some examples of the varying tax advantages when participants choose traditional versus Roth.
Yeah, absolutely. So ahead of time, to try to save time on the video here, we ran just an example using the exact same sample paycheck that Justin walked through. For this example, based upon the $24 a pay, that equals $1,248 annually. We assume this individual has 30 years to retirement. We used an 8% growth rate, 22% federal tax rate here, assuming married, filing jointly. We also assumed that they would be withdrawing the balance in retirement over a 30-year period of time, reducing the risk profile in retirement, so lower rate of return in retirement to 6%. But the big assumption here is that the tax rate is the same in retirement. Given recent tax legislation, I think we all know that taxes have gone down historically. They're pretty low, so that might be a pretty aggressive assumption, to the point where we're actually probably making the Roth look not as good as it might look if we were showing a tax rate being higher in retirement. Go through this example. What we're showing is, so first of all, the same 5% whether you're doing traditional or Roth. So we're showing the same amount being saved for retirement. So total amount accumulated, for retirement, would be $156,000. Then when we look at it from the standpoint of taking withdrawals in retirement, you'll notice the Roth is pretty far ahead here. And it's mainly because of the fact that for traditional, you would have that 22% tax rate coming off of those withdrawals, which would reduce the amount of money that you have to enjoy and spend in retirement compared to the Roth. This analyzer kind of takes it one step further and says, okay, what if we tried to make this a real true apples to apples comparison? And what if the individual here, instead of just doing 5% traditional, were to increase their contribution traditional to account for the tax savings that Justin had illustrated on that pay stub. In that case, the individual who's doing traditional compared to the one doing Roth would save an additional $275 towards retirement. It closes the gap a little bit, but you can still see that the Roth is still ahead. The one thing that Justin and I and Devin we'd like to add is, in our experience, collectively we've got almost 40 years here in the room. In our experience, we've never seen anybody increase their traditional contributions to account for the taxes that are saved. Meaning, most people decide either they're going to do 5% traditional or 5% Roth. They don't, increase the traditional to 6% because they're having some tax savings there. So that's just an example to try to, give you some sense or idea of whether or not, which is maybe the right fit for you.
That's great. Super helpful information, Corey. And just to sort of wrap it up, Justin, is there anything else to keep in mind in terms of regarding tax diversification for participants?
Yeah, thanks, Devin. Just real quick to finish up, you'll see this tax triangle that we call, we kind of built to help illustrate that just the point that we really don't know where tax rates are going to be 20, 30 years down the road. Everybody's situation is different. You may be paying more taxes now than you ever will be based on your income. You may be in a higher tax bracket in retirement. And we kind of preach to everybody that we work with is you really actually just need some diversification of your taxes. And this actually shows you pretty simply in a nice format that you really need to fill these three buckets. You need tax advantaged. You need that Roth component. You need tax-free withdrawals in retirement. You also probably need some tax deferred, your traditional 401ks and IRAs. And you also need to build up that taxable bucket, the bucket that is taxed during your working years, dividends and capital gains, but it's liquid, it's flexible, it's usable before retirement. This strategy by filling all these boxes really gives you the most flexibility. We don't have to be kind of worried as much about what happens with tax rates in the future.
Great. Thank you both very much. And as always, if you have any questions or would like additional information from us, please contact us here at Polaris Advisors.
Thanks, everyone.